Hey everyone, we're back. We're doing it again, and it's summertime, and we have decided at Family Worship we're going to be going through some classic Bible stories. We already did the creation story. We did our art project. Today we're going to continue with Abraham and Sarah. That's right. We got a good one for you. So, yeah, let's do this thing.
Go team. Go team.
Go team indeed. Today's story begins with the great patriarch of the faith and matriarch of the faith, Abraham and Sarah. Now, Abraham at that time would have been called Abram, and Sarah would have been called Sarai. Now, at this point, they were great God-fearing folks who had been called out of their father's land in order to go to a place where God would tell them. God had been telling them to leave, and they did. They had gone to this new place, traveling with their tent and with all their people, and they were listening to God. When God decided God was going to make things serious between these two. So God decided to make a promise with Abram, to make sure Abram knew that God was on his side.
Abram, I'm ready to make a big commitment here.
What's that, God? What are you saying? Oh, it's God. It's Sarai, it's God.
You have been listening and trusting in me, and I feel like we need to make this thing official so that everyone knows that me and you are on the same team.
Okay, God.
I'm giving you a piece of my name.
A new name sounds great.
Abram, you will now be known as Abram. And Sarai, you will be known as Sarah. See? Like breath. Like the breath. Wind that began creation. Me. Like.
I like the sound of it. Abraham and Sarah. I love it. Excelsior.
Abram, you're going to be blessed. And you're going to have so many children.
Children, huh? I did not expect that to happen. Huh. That sounds great.
Things are going to be awesome.
The thing was Abraham and Sarah were very old.
How old were they?
These folks were so old that when they went to school, they didn't even have history class. There was no history. Oh!
That's old.
One day, God decided to send Abraham 3 messengers. I have a sneaking suspicion those are from God. I gotta tell Sarah. Sarah, remember how God told us that we needed to welcome strangers as if we were greeting him, that we'd be a blessing to everybody we ran into? So if someone comes by, we got to make sure we welcome them and give them water. Well, guess what? I just saw three visitors that look very much like maybe they're messengers from God. Well, here's what I need you to do. I need you to get some flour. I'm thinking like 5 cups of flour. Get some water. Get some yeast, maybe a little oil. Then you're gonna mix it up into a bowl.
Are you telling me to make some bread?
Yes. I'm telling you how to make bread. Listen,
I know how to make bread.
Of course you do. I'm sorry. I'm panicking. Okay, we gotta get everything ready. Go. All right. So we're gonna go see Abraham, right?
Yep, act like normal people. Hey, bud, lose the links. I forgot that I had those on.
They're coming.
Hello, we are 3 travelers looking for hospitality.
Hello and welcome. Yes, hello. Welcome to my humble tent. I'm so glad you're here. How can I help you? Can I get you something to eat, perhaps? Yes, we have many fine dishes here. We have water on the way. I'll get you some cold to drink or something. But welcome, my wife, Sarah. She is preparing some bread, some delicious bread. Sarah, come out, say hi.
Hi, I'm Sarah. I'm just getting some food together, so if you want to have a seat.
A pleasure to meet you, Sarah. That was great. Thank you. Ha! Well, yes, have a seat. Have a seat.
Abraham, you have a lovely wife.
Well, thank you very much.
A year from now, I suspect she'll have a baby.
Yeah, right, at 99 years old, having babies.
Maybe. I don't see what's so funny. I mean, what? Isn't that something I'm sure it's not impossible. I don't really appreciate the laughter. I mean, it is. That's what's going to happen. Is your wife laughing? No, that's not her. That's got to be someone else. Well, I think she laughed.
I'm sorry, I didn't laugh.
You did laugh. You definitely laughed.
I may have.
Okay. And that's what happened. Yeah. That's the story of Abraham and Sarah welcoming the three visitors, and the story of the covenant promise God makes with Abraham and Sarah. That's it. We are covering all these main stories, these big stories in the Bible throughout this summer. And after creation and after we talked about Pentecost, we thought, hey, let's talk about Abraham and Sarah, these two critical figures in the story of the Bible. The big reason they're an important character is because God makes a covenant with this family, with their whole family going forward. And a covenant is a promise that, in this case, God is going to provide for Abraham and Sarah. God's going to look out for Abraham and Sarah. All these things God is promising will come to fruition. And what they will do in the meantime is live as reflections of that promise. They will trust in God. They will go where God calls them. And in the cool way that we see it today, one of the ways they live as a reflection and representative of their God, who they're in this promise covenant with, is that they're going to practice radical hospitality. One of the defining features of being in a relationship with God is that we recognize a responsibility that we are to offer hospitality to the stranger. What they would know of us then is that we are generous because we believe God is generous. We have been provided for, so we provide for others. So God blesses Abraham and Sarah with provision, and in turn, they have the courage, the conviction to offer provisions for others. And when they see travelers, like the three in our story today, they go, let's get this together. Our story had Abraham being a little more giddy to do it than maybe it is said in the Bible. But I love the idea that he starts explaining to Sarah, this is how you make bread. She probably knows how to make bread. He's just like, this is it. This is what we're called to do. What excitement he has to offer hospitality. So later in the story, Abraham and Sarah will meet kings. They'll meet great rulers. They'll meet people of power. They'll meet people without a lot of power. And every time what they'll do is they'll set a table and they'll say, let's break bread together. Let's eat together. That's what they're defined by, that kind of hospitality. That's still actually our responsibility as people of God. We're called to practice, and we say this a lot, radical hospitality, just as Jesus did. As Jesus sat with sinners and tax collectors, the poor, people who people might be surprised to see him sitting with, he did that because he saw God's provision, saw God's promise, understood that one day we will all be gathered on this mountain, that we will all be fed. And he says, let's live that now. That's what it means to understand this promise. Live it now, as it will be in heaven. So he'd take his nicest things and he'd always break bread with them. So I love that idea because that means that that's still our job today. The table is set, the meal is offered, it's prepared in grace and in radical welcome. That's a neat reputation to carry with you. So the question this week for all of us who are trying to live as reflections of care and mercy and forgiveness in the world is, how are we offering hospitality these days? How are we providing for people in need? It's time of physical distancing. My guess is we aren't having as many visitors to our home as maybe Abraham is having in his time, where someone would, or maybe it'd be as many because he was out walking in like the wilderness. But yeah, we don't have as many people maybe in our home. But how can we help someone in need of provision along their journey? How can we help someone in need? Perhaps it's donating to a food pantry, because some people are going through a very challenging journey these days. Maybe it's supporting our GraceWorks initiative that we've been talking about. How do we offer a word of welcome and care to those who are in need this week of someone to say, welcome, lay down your burdens, take a rest. We got this. I'm excited. That's the core of our identity. And I'm really excited to know that you guys are going to come up with some great ideas this week. So until next week, I'll say, see ya. Practice hospitality. We'll see you next time. Bye.